An interview recently where I asked the question, how much autonomy do you like to give your staff? And he answered in short that it's really important to make sure that staff has autonomy. It's more important that they have autonomy than they be perfectly correct in your whatever your version of perfectly correct is. Um, and that's, I think especially true because um, the more time I have spent working with other people, the more I've realized that my perspective on what is the best way to do things. Initially, I have this gut reaction of I don't really like the way they did that. I would have done it this way. But then the more time I spend with it, the more I realize that I have something to learn from the way they did things, and that's I think probably really true a lot of the time with senior and seniors and staff or leaders and staff. Um, More true than a lot of people are willing to admit. Um, and I'm making this video because I applied for a lot of senior level positions, but it may not be immediately clear why, just from my resume. But I do want to make it clear that I have spent so much of my time learning how to be a good teacher, be a good mentor, and be a good listener. And I think that covers probably, the vast majority of what it means to be a good senior level, whatever, or a leader. Um, I care that people have opportunities to learn. I care about giving people space um, to explore how they like to approach solutions. Um, and I care. I really, really care that people feel listened to. And so I'm going to tell just a short anecdote about what I learned when I was working as a filmmaking camp counselor. And you know, the people who worked at that job know that it's extremely hard work. We worked a lot of late nights, and it's because we cared that we worked so hard. Um, it was one year I thought I was doing a really good job of mentoring these kids and teaching them how to make movies. And the light was running out. It was in the evening. They were shooting outside, and so everybody was getting a little bit antsy. And the camera operator on our team was having a hard time remembering how to use how to adjust the aperture in order to get more light through the lens to hit the sensor, so that the image could be brighter. And so I just one time, I reached over, I pulled the aperture ring open, got more light, and I could immediately see the frustration on his face. Like I knew in that moment that I'd failed him, and I didn't let him figure it out. It didn't really matter. Getting the shot did not matter nearly as much as making sure he felt like I wasn't, hovering over him because it was his job, not my job. Um, and it got back to me later that he had told his parents, and it kind of it made him feel sad and made him feel not supported. And although again, I felt that at that point that I was actually quite good at being supportive, I learned a lot from that experience, from that one experience. Um, and since then, I personally experienced, um, some leaders that I've worked under doing far more heavy-handed things, and sometimes I've tried to give feedback, and sometimes they don't listen, and sometimes every time that happens, it's very frustrating. So I just want you to know that if you put me in a leadership position, this is who I am. Thank you for watching.